Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Zondags Weekday Late Show. My name is Maurice Zondag, and I am your host for today's show. Again, to welcome you in this new week, new opportunities, and new days, new weeks, new hours. So we got a lot of things to cover. So today, I want to talk to you about this cool thing, this technique that I've learned actually a couple of years ago, how you can create a better life for yourself. And a way to do that in a very doable way is actually to choose the surroundings that influence you in a positive way. Now, what do I mean with that? Well, of course, we all know the saying, you become the one that you encounter with, right? So if you tell me who your five friends are, I can tell you who you are, right? If you're looking for a new job, take a close look at the people you're going to work with, because that's who you're going to be, right? That's that's pretty much how you are going to be, and that it's not about how you can change them. So that's an important thing, and I'm also clicking on things here so I can see what's going on. So thank you so much for being here. If you're watching this live, please give me a hashtag live. If you're watching this on the replay, please give me a hashtag replay, because that helps the algorithm of the system, right? So if you're watching this on YouTube, you can even subscribe to the channel and give me a like, of course. So very cool you're here as well. And of course, if you're on LinkedIn, we cut this broadcast in 10 minutes because we can only do videos on 10 minutes, and then we go on, or at least you got to click the link below in the comments so you can watch this episode fully on YouTube. So and of course, if you're listening to this at the podcast right here, I'm right here recording for you. So thank you so much for being here in the podcast as well. So cool you're here. So we're multi-platform, right? I just want to reach as many people as I can. So whatever suits you best, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or the podcast on Spotify or on Podbrother or whatever podcast player you're using, we're there. So very cool you're here. Like I said, my name is Maurice Zondag, and we're going to talk about personal development. That's the main subject of this show, and we're going to do this every day, of course. And today's subject is how to choose the surroundings that influence you in a positive way. Being happy or being successful or, getting to the goal that you want in your life, you first have to set a goal, right? You first have to make for yourself clear what you truly desire so you can go after that. And for many of us, happiness is something that is like a container saying, right? We all want to be happy. I mean, who doesn't want to be happy, right? Everyone wants to be happy. There are a couple of things in life we strive for. Everyone, doesn't matter where you are. If you're living in the United States, if you're living in China, if you're living in South Africa, it really literally doesn't matter where you live. We all want happiness. That's just a core need for us as human beings, right? But what makes you happy, that's totally different for everyone, right? I mean, doesn't matter even where you're from. Whatever makes you happy is different. But in general, there are a couple of things that will help you gain that access to happiness, right? I mean, we all want to be loved, right? For that matter, we all want to be understood. We all want to connect with others. We all need some sort of a balance inside of our lives. We all need the right energy, right? And of course, like I said before, part of nature is growth. So we all need to keep growing. I mean, in nature, there's this law which says if it's not growing, it's dead, right? So whatever is not alive is not growing, and if it's alive, it is growing. It's multiplying. It's expanding, right? Whatever it is, even to cellular level. So that are some core principles that goes for everyone, right? They're universal, so to say. And I like that term, right? There's so many things universal, and we think so much is universal, while actually there are just a couple of things that are universal. And more specifically, there are a lot of things not universal, but they're individual, right? Depending on who you are, what your background is, where you're coming from, what your culture is, what your society is. So there's this big circle of influence that we're bounded by, right? And I call it it's like a dome. There's this dome around us, and that is like the limitations we have in life. I mean, we can't cheat death, right? Death. We all die at a certain point of age. That's just a thing you can't you can't change, right? That's just a given fact. And there are many things in life we cannot change, right? But there are a lot of things that we can influence. And one of the major things that we can influence is the thing how we act upon the world, how we act upon things that happen in our lives. And one of the things that's so important to understand, specifically in these days, right in the COVID times, right, where we're at a lockdown coming up, or maybe you're already in lockdown, or whatever the situation is, you're being bounded, right? There are different rules these days we have to go by, and those are pretty unnatural rules, right? Laws, things that we can't do anymore, like hugging everyone or kissing everyone, right? I mean, we have to keep a social distancing of 6 feet or 1.5 meters or 2 meters or whatever it is. We have to wear face masks in every public area where we are, right? It's there are so many unnatural things that aren't part of our nature, where love and connection and really, yeah, connecting to people is one of our core principles. Things that actually are making you happy biologically, things happening that will create that feeling of happiness. So I was having this interesting discussion with a very, very close friend of mine, and we were talking about where you are in a certain point of life, right? Sometimes things kind of stack on each other, where life kind of like seems to be impossible. I mean, everything that you can imagine will just crumble and fall, right? It will hit you in the face so hard you get knocked down. And a lot of people have these moments in their lives. It can be anything, right? It can be a financial crisis. You maybe losing your job and aren't able to pay your rent or your mortgage. It can be your marriage that's not working, or even getting a divorce with all the troubles that's in there. And so many people have that, but we'd never learn how you can cope with situations like that. I mean, how do you cope with that, right? Where life like really hits you hard in the nuts, and you go down with it, right? And a lot of things are happening in this boundary area, right? There are things that we can't change. So these things that you cannot change, that you can't influence, and how do you cope with that? Well, I've come to learn that, since I've been through such a situation myself. In this case, it was my marriage that was stranding. How do you call it? Like failing. So we got into a divorce, and it all went ugly. And I went into a deep, dark period. Right. I felt alone. I had a financial crisis coming up. I almost lost my job. I felt into depression. I even had some suicidal thoughts one time. Right. So that's deep, and we have these types of situations in our lives at a certain point in our life. Hopefully not, but probably it will, right? It's just how life works often. So how do you cope with that? Well, if you would say that, when are you happy, right? You are happy when you are feeling comfortable, right? You agree, right? If you're feeling comfortable, everything's fine, right? You're in control. Everything's happening your way. It doesn't matter what situation you are. You know how to handle that, and it's just going well. You feel comfortable. Well, let's call that zone the comfort zone, right? It's a common used word. But what is the comfort zone? Well, that's the zone where you're in, where you're at when you're comfortable, right? You're feeling good. Everything's happening. You're secure about yourself. You know what to do. No one's telling you anything that you can't handle. You got it all in control. So this comfort zone kind of is our happiness zone, right? We feel happy in that comfort zone. Now, what happens in this case? Well, something gets struck, right, in that happy zone, in that comfort zone. And suddenly the comfort zone isn't that comfortable anymore, because things happen in your life that change that comfort zone, that like took parts of that comfort zone away, and now it's not comfortable anymore. You maybe lose your house, or you have to, you're all of a sudden alone when you got divorced, or you, like I said, you lose your job and you got this financial crisis where you have to see how you mend everything up to the end of the month. So all these things have a breakdown of your comfort zone. So the easy answer would actually be build a better and bigger comfort zone, right? Make it bigger, so if it gets hurt or when it's hit, it's not breaking down that big of a deal. And that's actually pretty much what I discovered next, thanks to what I've been through and what I've been learning from my mentors and coaches, is that that actually is the case, right? So if you can build a bigger comfort zone, it will give you more playing field, right? It gives you more space to work with. So that made me think, right? How can I actually change that? How can I add things to my comfort zone so it will grow and I will have more saying in what happens there? And I can maybe even be a better landlord of that comfort zone, right? So if you have this piece of land and you don't know what to do with it, and you let others decide for you what to do with it, chances are it's not gonna grow anything that you thought you might be growing there, right? So you need to take control over that land so you can decide what to do and where to make the changes and what to do there and what to grow and what you want. So it all starts there with, what do you want, right? What do you want in your life to be the comfort zone? Well, those are universal things. Like I said before, it's the love. It's actually the connection to other people. It's our personal development. It's our growth, how we grow and what we learn and how fast and how not fast and where we focus on. It is about the energy that we're feeling. Is it who I am, the me, right? Who am I really? What's my energy? Am I a man? Am I a woman? Where's my masculinity? Where's my femininity in that thing? Where's my spectrum in who I am? And of course, the balance in all of that, right? So how do I balance all these areas and create this balance in life? I mean, nature is all about balance, right? Like I said, there are a couple of natural laws there, and balance is one of them. There's black, there's white, there's light, there's dark, there's weight, heavy, and there's light, right? I mean, there's so many men, female. I mean, there's so many things that are also opposite of each other, and we always have to balance out these things. So you could say then that these 5 areas, let's call them sources, 5 sources that are universal to anyone, which creates the comfort zone, right? So you could like say your comfort zone is like this whole area where all these 5 elements take place in it. And of course, all like a foundation built with that, with our health. I mean, health is of course one of the foundational areas of our lives. If there's no health, if we get sick and we die, there is no point in everything, right? In anything, right? So it's more like the ground floor of everything is our health. The better we are at our health, the better it can grow, right? Makes sense. So the soil is kind of our health. So if you focus on these 5 areas, including the 6th one with the health, you could actually see that it is able to grow and make your comfort zone bigger. Now, one of my personal mentors, and he's an awesome guy, he taught me this model of how the comfort zone and the learning zone work. So we've got this comfort zone, right? Our happiness zone, that's where we want to be. But we also got this little area around our comfort zone, which is called the learning zone. So that's an area where we can step into and learn new things. And by learning new things, you're actually expanding, in the end, your comfort zone, right? So if I, for example, if I want to play as an actor in a play, I need to practice. I need to learn my role, right? If I wouldn't be learning my role and I would just go out on stage, I would be very uncomfortable there, right? I wouldn't be in my comfort zone. So it would maybe even my panic zone, right? It would be like the zone after your learning zone. So you got this comfort zone, then you got this small part, which is your learning zone. And after that, all the rest is your panic zone. We don't want to be in our panic zone, right? That's for sure. That's where you really panic. That's where you're like, don't know what to do anymore. You dive into depression. You lose all points of reality, and you might, only operate on autopilot to make at least everything work for yourself. But you're not making any adjustments and knowing exactly which step you need to do. You're not in control. You're being controlled by the panic, right? The fear and the anxiety and those kind of things. So we don't want to be in the panic zone. You want to take a closer step to your comfort zone. So So you need to take a little step out of your comfort zone, which is close to your comfort zone. So if it is getting hard, you can just step back, take a step back and be in your comfort zone again. So your learning zone is actually the part where you learn new stuff. Let's define it as that, right? So you learn new stuff, and then that becomes your comfort zone as well. Because once I've learned my part, I can go on stage and do my thing, right? Then I'm comfortable. Then I'm secure. Then I'm confident. I got it in control again. So it isn't my learning zone anymore, and it's not even my panic zone anymore. Because what used to be my panic zone, getting on stage, right, without the preparation, because I did the preparation, I did the rehearsals, I now created that part which was my panic zone into my comfort zone. Now that's interesting. So if you actually build new things, if you learn new things, if you experience new things, you can actually create a bigger comfort zone. So if my comfort zone expands and I learn new things, I educate myself on how things work, on the field of love, what happened there. And that could be a retrospect on seeing what happened there. You could go in therapy and talk to your therapist about it. He or she can help you on getting it right back into order to what makes sense for you. Because in our panic zone, we don't make any sense anymore, right? We're kind of lost in those kind of things. So by being in the learning state, right? Learning of everything, understanding that there needs to be done something, but I mean, just doing something without thinking about it doesn't make any sense, right? you would be maybe doing the things you shouldn't do. So it's better then to take a closer look at what you should do and what you should learn. So first of all, if you find yourself being in a situation where you're in this panic zone, or where you're in the pursuit of happiness and you don't know where to find it because your comfort zone has gotten crushed, right? Being hit and been tumbled down. Your comfort zone is not this anymore, but it's only like this. Maybe some close friends, or maybe something you can hold on to. But that's not going to be enough, right? You need to rebuild that comfort zone again, understand and learn about what happened there and what you can take out of it for your future, and see how you can build it. So is it in the area of love? Is it in the area of connection, on like social connections to our net, to who we are, our way we communicate with people, right? Communication is the tool to connect, either verbal or physical. There's this whole spectrum of communication, right? Of course. So that's an area. Or is it the fact that you haven't grown for yourself, understanding who you are? Who are you? What makes you happy? What is it that makes you happy? And what do you truly find important in life, right? What's your go-to? Who are you? The true me, right? Who am I? And a question I love to ask everyone there is to answer the question of who is the most important person in your life? And of course, that's not your kids. It's not your spouse. It's not your parents. It's no one else but you. I've talked about this before, right? So you are important to make this work. So maybe you got to work on that. Or maybe it is your growth, your personal development. You didn't read any book for like 10 years, right? So if you learn new things, you can actually, I mean, you don't know what you don't know, right? It doesn't make any sense, of course. You don't know what you don't know. So maybe you should learn about things so you could know that you need to learn all that, right? And that's beautiful when you're here, because I hopefully might give you some tips there. And of course, maybe it's in your balance. Maybe something is out of balance, and you're getting, back in this situation where you're being the victim and not in control. And that's an area where I want to lean on a bit for today, because I can decide for you which situation it is, right? But the balance is a very foundational one for everyone. And of course, they have their their effects on everything else, right? When I discovered my situation, it was about love, right? That was my biggest hole in the ground there. So I needed to learn about what is love, what does it mean for me, who am I in my love life, for that matter. What kind of a man am I really, and what do I want to be? Who do I want to be? So in all these areas, I discovered new areas where I can grow my comfort zone, and by building that comfort zone, even though I did have had relations after that, and they could be also be tumbled down, right? I mean, could backfire. It didn't really hit me that hard as the first time, because I learned from it, and I've built a bigger comfort zone so I could understand better what was happening and what I could do to make the change that I needed, right, for that. And I had other areas as well where I can lean on. If I wouldn't have these other areas and my love life would crumble, then I wouldn't have nothing left, right? So by building that bigger comfort zone, you're creating more opportunities for yourself to grow as a person, and to really be more vigilant against bad luck or things happening to you, right? So this whole balance part, I mean, there's so many things you could learn, right? And there are so many, how do you say that? So many easy answers out there, right? Oh, you need another mindset. Oh, you just need to be more abundant in the way you think about things and how you go to the world. Oh, you just need to do this. Oh, you just need to do that. Don't worry too much. It's gonna be okay. Well, it's not gonna be okay. It's not just gonna be okay. You got to do something for it. And yes, living in the now is important, but for crying out loud, what does that mean? How do I live in the now? I mean, of course I live in the now. And this is the now, right? So of course I live in the now. But what does it mean when someone says you got to live in the now? You don't have to live in the past. You don't want to dream only about the future. You got to live in the now. Yeah, okay, but how on earth do I do that? Well, those are the things you can learn. So you can focus on the things that you find important that will help you. Sorry for that. I just talked too much, right? And it's already 22 minutes. So thanks again if you're here. So cool that you're here. Give me a hearts, give me likes, whatever that is, right? If you agree on this, how can you grow in your life for that matter? And what can you really do to make that difference for your life? In which area is that for your life that you can change? And if you find that area, you can start developing things in that area, and you can see that there are multiple things you want to focus on, right? And there's this saying: if you hunt down 3 rabbits, you won't catch any one of them, right? So you don't want to focus too much on too many different things, but you do want to focus on this specific area where you want to focus. That's why I call them the 5 sources of happiness. So you can say, okay, so my focus point is this area of love, or my focus point is my own personal development, who I am, what my masculinity or my femininity is, and how I can grow that. Or, it doesn't matter which area it is, you can decide on that. And from that, you can get more into the deepness and say, okay, so I want to learn about how to be more sociable, or how to learn more about my masculinity. What does it mean to be a man, or what does it mean to be a woman in this world, right? There are so many questions you can ask yourself there, and then you can start developing piece by piece, just inside of your comfort zone, just outside of your comfort zone, in this learning zone, by therefore expanding that learning zone into your comfort zone. And first of all, you've got to get back into your comfort zone, right? So whatever happened in your life, wherever you are, if you're feeling like you're lost, everyone is against you, no one can help you, you're alone, and the world is all against you, right? You need to get out of there, and you need someone to help you do that, because probably you won't be able to do it yourself. So you need help with that, and it can be a therapist, can be a coach, can be a good friend, or whatever it is. But you need to be open to help from others that can give you a different perspective, because there is no truth. Right? There is no truth. There are only perspectives. And we all have the perspectives that we have learned from our situation from the past, the things we've learned, and the experience we're having right now. And all based on that defines how you think. It all defines how you operate, how you build your habits, which habits you have built, why you have built them, the things you say to yourself in your mind, right? The critical things you can say to yourself, the things you wouldn't say to any friend but do say to yourself, right? And those are things like they're so fundamental. If you strip down all the bullshit, we all have this feeling we're not good enough, or either we're not being loved or able to being loved, right? So these are elements that are just, again, universal for everyone, where you can start building on. So go back to those questions, right? What is my situation? Where am I at? And which small parts can I do to take back more control into that circle of influence? So I can take back that direction in your life that you find important. We all need to be the director of our own lives, right? It's your life story that you're creating. It's your movie that you're creating. It's your book you're writing. But you should be the writer, right? No one else but you, because it's your life, and no one else can write it better than you can. So you have to define for yourself, what are my desires? What do I truly want for myself, for my close inner circle, right? Kids, parents, brothers, sisters, whatever it is, friends. And what do I want for my outer world, right? What's the impact on the world in my community or my world that I want to be? And but it starts with the me, right? So it's important to understand, what do you really want? And if you want to look up the word ikigai, that's a good one. Let me put that on the screen. Ikigai, that could actually help you with that, to really get the understanding of that, right? What is it that you truly desire? What is it that you truly want? Ikigai. Now that's coming from Japan, and it's an whole other story, but and maybe it's a good one for another episode of this show. But you could use that as a tool to find for yourself, who am I, and what do I have to offer to the world. So ikigai, yeah. So I hope this might shine a new light on things, right? In whatever situation you are. And the world we live in today is a crazy world, right? There's so many uncertainties, so many things we don't know, or are so many changing going on in our lives, that we have to adapt to things, right? I mean, having the habits is always helping us to make our life easier. And when you want to change a habit, whether it being your eating habit or your morning routine, or it be your non-smoking, or whatever it is that you want to change in your habits, it's always going to be hard. Like not coughing into your hand, but coughing into your elbow, right? It's just so, I've done this for 47 years like this. And now all of a sudden I need to do it like this, which is like stupid. But, we need to do that. And habits like not standing close to others, right? So today I went to an amusement park with my girlfriend, and we were waiting in line, and there was social distancing going on everywhere. But all of a sudden I was standing pretty much next to this guy in front of me. I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden we were standing there like that, and we're like, oh wait, we need the social distancing, right? So you need to be conscious about the habits that you've been changing, and that's difficult. But that is the world that we are in today, right? So there could be a lot of things happening in your life right now that makes you scared, that makes you anxious, that you don't know what to do. And if that is combined with other shit that always happens in our lives, like losing the job or losing the marriage or losing whatever it is in your life, it is even harder in these days, right? So how do you make fun and when you're in lockdown at home, right? Especially if you are specifically alone, living alone at home, and there's no one else, to spend that time with. How do you go out? You don't, right? You can't. So you need to be creative about that kind of solutions. You need to be creative about things you can do. So for example, the things that I started doing when I couldn't play tennis anymore because our club was closed by the first lockdown, I started doing running, right? I started doing other exercising that created a way that I like. So I set my target and I started training for that, and it actually built up to resulting in that new area. So yeah, I mean, being happy isn't just like having fun all day, right? It's a balance, and it's far more foundational for who you are as a human being. How do you look at things in your life which work for you, right? I'm not saying that my perspective is the truth. Neither is yours, right? It's just your perspective that works best for you, and my perspective worked best for me. The things that I want to give you today, the Motivation Monday tool that I want to give you, is be open for new perspectives and learn from others to create those perspectives, right? Because the learning principle is interesting, right? We learn by experiencing. Once you start walking, you try, right? You stand up, you wiggle, 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 poof, fall down. You stand up again, wiggle, 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 poof, fall down again. So you keep trying, trying, trying. You keep doing, you keep doing, you keep doing until at a certain point in time, you get it. You understood. So you've learned, right? So you created an experience and you've learned it. Now that's a hard process, right? And all of a sudden, when we're adults, we forgot that it's hard. We think it all should be easy for some crazy thing, right? But it is hard. I mean, how many times did you fell on your face when you were a kid before you actually could walk, right? How many tables have you hit with your head before you were able to just stand there and walk all of a sudden to your mommy, right? But have you ever seen a kid like trying and trying and trying and sitting there and saying, Mom, Dad, I've been thinking about this whole walking thing, but it's just not for me, right? I'm just not a walker. No, of course not. It may take a little time, maybe, right? Maybe one kid goes faster than the other, but that's just like, let's call it talent, right? But in the end, you can learn everything. But when you give up, there's nothing left, right? So you need to keep trying until you succeed, if you want to succeed, if that's the goal, right? But just doing and just quitting because you're saying that's not me, that's just a lame excuse. That's just giving yourself the excuse to not do it anymore, right? I'm just not a runner. I'm not just this. I'm not just that. I'm a real night owl, so I can't get up in the morning. Of course you can. You got to change. You got to do stuff, right? But of course you can. But you got to want it, right? You got to have the desire to want it. Now, one of the first desires you have is to keep living and to keep breathing, right? And so discipline isn't always the answer, but you got to have the motivation to do it, because discipline always loses in the end, right? You can't hold your breath for 10 minutes if you if you have the desire to do it for 10 minutes and you have the discipline to do it. Your body will kick in, right? Biology always wins over desire. So you need to be motivated enough to keep trying and to keep doing, and having that goal in mind in the end. So the learning principle is very interesting. It's based on experience, often how we learn. Well, there is this new technique, which is actually not a new technique and has been around for many, many thousands of years, and that's learning from others, right? You didn't have to figure out calculating 1 + 1 = 2, right? You didn't have to figure that out for yourself. You got taught by someone at school, right? Someone told you, well, listen, if we have 1 and we have another 1, we have 2. Ah, yeah, makes sense. Good point, right? That's how we learn. You learn from others. So you learn from others that are already there where you want to be. And today we've got a lot of people going around teaching all kind of stuff to other people that they've gone through or they have knowledge of, and they can teach you. And it can be a blunt subject, right? And saying, okay, it's somewhat blasé because everyone's a coach these days. But yeah, that's true. Everything you know, you can teach someone else. So if that's what you love to do, and a lot of people love to do that, including me, right? I love to teach you things like this, is being a coach or a mentor to someone so I won't have to make the mistakes, right? So if I'm thinking about how can I be more productive, I don't have to figure that out. I just Google it, right? And I got all these mentors going around where I can pick from and say, okay, you got a good point. I like your style. I like the way you talk. I like the way you look at things. We connect, right, on that matter. So I want you to teach me. It can be in person, can be just following some online course, and can be even by diving into YouTube and watching all the videos you can find on it, right? And you'll see that you'll been drawn to a certain person, maybe that's telling you the things that you need to know. So for example, getting up early, when I wanted to do that, and I was a night owl, I was convinced I was a night owl, and it's maybe even in a certain amount true to myself that I keep saying that I'm someone who operates good in the evenings. But I wanted to change that because I wanted to try to see what's happening if I change it in the morning. So I Googled that and I found it online with Robin Sharma. So he has this whole program, right, with step 1 to step 6 on how to create a morning routine that will work for you. So and there are many examples like that, right? You can just figure out for yourself what's important. Do you want to create a better mindset or different mindset on certain things? Like how do you think about things, right? The mindset is how you set your mind to things. So if you have a mindset of, it's all hard and everything's hard and everyone's against me, that's the way you think, right? If you want to change the way you think, you got to change the mindset, because mindset is the way you think. So if you want to change that, Google it, YouTube it, right? Contact me. I'll help you with that, right? That's one of the things that I do. So you could do things like that, but you first have to discover for yourself, who am I? What do I want? Where is my area that I want to change? Is it my love life? Is it in the way that I encounter with people, that I connect with people or can't connect with people? Find it very hard in this extroverted world where I, find it hard to connect with people. How do I do that? What do I need to change in that? Because if you're doing the same stuff all over again, expecting the different result, Einstein actually called that the law of stupidity or something like that, right? So you got to change the things. And specifically in these days of Corona and of COVID-19, it's not going to be the healthy ones that survives only, right? It's not the rich one that will survive. It will not be the successful that will be survived. It will not be the strongest that will survive. It will be, as always, be the ones that can adapt. If you're an entrepreneur and you've been struggling with this whole Corona crisis because you have a restaurant or whatever and it's been closed down, right? You need to adapt. You can't keep doing the same thing, getting the same result, getting different results. So you need to adapt to the situation and see, where can I put in my creativity to build something else so I can build my business and keep running my business. So a friend of mine who has a restaurant tried delivery, right? And I've heard many stories of this. I even heard a story where this restaurant built this little van, and they drove with the van to the people that reserved, and they start making their dinner right in front of the doors, right? So you're having this beautiful dinner, which you normally would have in their restaurants, but you'll have it being prepared by the chef in this van, in this food truck, right? And right at the front of the door. So that's clever adjustment to the situation. And that's the secret, right? If you want to know the secret of how to get out of shit, adapt. You need to adapt, because whatever you've been doing isn't working anymore. In which situation you are, in my opinion, doesn't really matter what kind of situation you are. If you're not happy about that situation, you need to adapt. You need to find the things that do work for you. And if they do work for you, then you leave alone the things that work, right? If something's working for you, don't change the winning team. But if there's an area or a subject or a person or a thing that you can't change, and it's not working, adapt to what it makes it work for you. So if you have these friends that you go out with all the time, and every weekend you go out till 4 a.m. in the morning, whatever it is, or even later, party on, having, the fun life. Yes, that's fun for those moments. That's fun, of course. But is it helping then you to create a successful business where you have to spend all the free time that you have into that business? No. So what would you adapt? Well, you stop seeing those guys. Yeah, but then I lose my friendships with them. Well, do they help you get where you want to be? Well, no, in that matter, they don't. But it was fun. Yeah, of course, it was fun. I'm not saying it's not fun to do it, and I'm not saying it's easy to do it. But if you have in mind that you want to accomplish something and you want to focus on the area, make the adjustments you need to make to get to that moment, right? So that means in this case, you would have to see those friends less. And maybe your friendship will end for that because that was the foundation of your friendship. Well, if that's the case, then that's the case, right? And maybe you can find other areas where you can connect with these people and have still a good contact with them and talk to them regularly, but just not on the Saturday and the Friday evenings, right? So the surroundings, change the surroundings where you're at. And that can be people. Most of the times it is people. I mean, it's still the talk, right? The saying, you are the one that you spend with the 5 people that you are the one you're spending your time with. How do you say it? The 5 people you spend your time is who you're gonna be. That's probably the best way to say it. Okay, so many times it is the people, right? It are people who are influencing you, but it's also your culture. It's also your place you live. It's the place you work. It's the social activities you do, the interest that you've had, the way you think about yourself, the mindset, right? The way you talk to yourself, how you feel. Even that is difficult, right? And what I've learned, what really helped me, by the way, is what I've learned is what I feel is not something that's being created by the outer world. It's not someone else's fault that I feel a certain way, because I feel it. It's a chemical reaction in my system based on my way of thinking. So if someone is calling me out, it's not his fault that I feel bad about it, right? It's my fault because I feel it. He doesn't feel it, and I don't want him to control my feeling. So I need to change the way I see that, right? I need to change the way I think about it. So when I think about it, that he or she is talking to me in a way that I don't like, I either block my way of saying, okay, I don't value that opinion anymore because I don't want to feel like that. But you can also say, give some feedback to the person. This is what it makes me feel like. I would appreciate for the way we work or the way we go together that, you could change that a bit if it would be possible. And he would say, "Oh, I'm not going to change that because only you want it." Then there's just your own decision what you're going to do with that again, right? So the way I feel is not determined by someone else. I determine how I feel, and I decide how I feel. Now, am I like the ultimate guru and perfect male with doing that? Of course not, right? Things still happen in my life that I can't control how I feel because it comes from my memories, it comes from my experiences, it comes from the things that I've learned, the things that I've seen before. So of course not. But if you are knowing that that's the case, you can actually start making that change. So if you feel that way, you can say, okay, oh, wait a minute, this is what it makes me feel. Now, the way I feel now and worrying or being anxious about it, does it change the situation for now? No, it really doesn't. It just makes me feel bad. Okay, so let's take a step back. What can I do to change that? How can I change that? Is there anything I can do to change that feeling? And maybe there is, maybe there isn't. But then it's something you can start doing, right? And that is, I think, one of the things you could say, I'm living in the now, right? So if you're living in the past, you're only, troubled by the things that has happened. So my marriage was over and I was in a depression because I was holding on to the past, right? And I was not seeing a future. So I couldn't dream of anything that I would have. So I wasn't seeing any hope or future for myself. That's where the whole suicidal things came from, right? So, okay, like, it doesn't make any sense anymore. Why even bother? Things like that. But when I learned that that's just something I was thinking, and it wasn't the solution for the system, for the problem right now, where I was feeling that feeling. I mean, the feeling you're feeling is the now, right? That's what you're feeling right now. But is it depending on something that's going to happen, which you don't know because we don't know the future, right? It's something you projecting to your future. You are thinking that that is going to happen. Doesn't say anything if it's really going to happen like that. But maybe you've got a good prediction for that. I don't know, but just saying, right? It's open for other options. So could you do something different that would actually make a difference there? That would make that point there. That would make a difference to that situation. Yeah. So we've covered a lot, right? And I love you guys being here. Thank you so much, and I really appreciate all the hearts and the likes that I'm getting there. I love you guys too, right? It's so cool that you're here, and thanks for the commenting as well. I see you guys, so cool with that. I just wanted to really like dive into this for today, in how do you control that feeling of happiness, right? And it really doesn't make any difference in what that universal thing is that you want. If it's your health, if it's your love, it's your personality, it's who you are in the world, how you want to be seen in the world, what your goals are in the world, doesn't really matter. It is about you. You need to decide who you are, what you find important, what your values are. And then you can start living from out of that. And that's where you start your comfort zone from, right? Your comfort zone starts with you, because that is the basic of everything. So build your comfort zone again, rebuild it maybe, hold on to the things that you've already got, right? There are a lot of things that you've already got. And maybe you don't see them anymore because they're like covered in dust, right? Of this whole big bang you have been going on there. But it is there. And hold on to it. Now, to close off, I'd really like to share this little story that once I had my own crisis there, was again pretty much like already 9 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe 9 years ago. There was this moment where we decided we're going to split up, right? There was this situation where it all ended and everything went down. And these months that came after that, I got friends, right? My family, they supported me, and so I've struggled and all those things. And it was around December, and it was actually in December now. I remember it was around Christmas, and I wanted to send an email with a thank you note to these friends, these people that have supported me, right? And I was like, but I was feeling like horrible alone, right? I just lost the love of my life, what I thought was the love of my life. 15 years together, right? Build a life with her. We had everything. It was all perfect, but somehow it just didn't work. And we decided to quit, right? To cut it off. And that really put me down. And I was like, I don't know who I am. I don't know what I want. No one wants me, right? I was almost 40. Like, how do other people still want to see me? How do I build new friends? How do I ever gonna find myself a new wife? All those questions, right? I feel really, really alone. But well, on this good day in December, I thought, I'd gonna send out a message to all of my support team, right? The people that are around myself and that supported me in these past months. So I did. I created this little video on iMovie on my iPhone and sent it out, and that was all cool and dandy. And I got this reply from this one man that, I've seen him as more of an acquaintance, but he was part of this group where I was part of as well, and they all supported me, so I sent it out as well to him. And I really remember very vivid that he replied from all of the ones that I've sent out. He was the one that got me noticing, really, because I didn't expect him to be replying on my message, right? And he said, Marie, dear Maurice, thank you so much for your message. That really touched me. And just know that I'll be here for you whenever you want, and I'll help you. If you want to grab a beer or whatever, want to talk, I'm here, man. And that really touched me, right? That really surprised me in a way, but it really, really touched me as well. And then I saw this header of this email that I was getting back. In Gmail, right? Where you have this little, you can see the previous mails above it. And then I saw it. I felt alone. But I've sent this email of gratitude to 55 people. 55 people that were there to help me. I wasn't alone. I felt alone maybe, but I wasn't alone. It was a perspective. And all of a sudden, my perspective changed. And I saw that there were 55 people who really were there for me, that supported me, that tapped me on the shoulder, that kissed me on the cheek, that hugged me. We were still able to hug these days. But they were there for me, right? So that's why I discovered that it's all perspective. And I could feel a certain way, right? I felt a certain way. I felt alone. I felt lonely. But the facts were different. I wasn't. Right? So that goes just to show, oh man, I really got this. I don't know. I hope it's not something contagious. Let's call it like that. I'm sure it's not. I feel very good, very fine. But anyway, yeah. Yeah, that was kind of the situation I was in then, and how it really changed the way I looked at things. All based on learning new stuff and learning new things. And since then, I've started learning, and I've never stopped learning. I rediscovered reading books. I read at least 15 to 20 books a year, at least, right? More possibly. I keep learning, I keep growing, I keep expanding my comfort zone. And of course it gets hit sometimes, but I'm ready for that, right? It's not going to be destroying everything as it has been before. So yeah, thank you so much for being here. And thank you for holding on for 51, almost 52 minutes. I'm gonna go long today, man. But it's an important one, right? We're in this situation, and we're gonna help each other, but it all starts with you. So discover that me part, right? What do I want? Build from that, build your comfort zone, and see which area, right? Love, your communication, your effective communication, your masculinity or your femininity, your energy, your personal development, and your balance. And if you want to know more about these, you can check out my website, masteryourpersonality.com. I actually did a TED talk about this whole subject a while ago, and yeah, if you want to know more about it, just send me a note or DM or whatever it is, and I can explain more. But it's foundational, and it's the basis of creating your own happiness. I believe that this will help you as a tool, not how to do it, because I don't know what makes you happy, right? In doing what kind of things. I don't know what your problem is. I don't know. But this is a tool that could help you actually to really create the life that you desire, whatever situation that is. Could be more money, could be another job, could be a family, it could be anything you desire. It really, really doesn't matter. And remember, everything can be learned. I've discovered that for so many times already in these past 8-9 years. Everything can be learned. There isn't one thing that I wanted to learn that I had to give up because I thought, I'm incapable of doing this. I can't do this. It's just something that's physically not possible. So the goal has to be right? I mean, I could have a goal like I want to be champion on Wimbledon. That's not going to happen, right? That's not going to happen. That's pretty much a factual situation. But if you want to learn about new situations, you want to learn about your health, if you want to learn about your love life, you want to learn about better communications, all these 5 areas, 6 areas, you can learn that. You can improve that. You can build the life that you want. But you first have to start with yourself. So thanks again. If you like these videos, give me a like, give me a love on yeah, you see, I'm not into pop culture, but yeah, give me the love, give me the like. You can subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow again. Take care.